Hello and welcome back to the High Performance Nursing Podcast. So excited that you're spending time with us today. Thank you so much. We've got an amazing guest, probably the most special guest on the podcast, no pressure. We have the amazing Anj Di Falco, who works with me across all of our programs here at Liam Caswell Coaching. Anj, say hello.
Hi, Liam, and everyone.
So happy and excited to have you here. And we've got so much to talk about. But before we dive in, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Anj while she takes a deep breath and settles into being on the podcast. So Anj actually joined the LCC team in 2022, earlier this year, and she brings with her 20 years of diverse acute and subacute clinical experience working across Melbourne and Perth in areas such as acute medicine, surgery, orthopedics, vascular, urology, day surgery, cardiac care, and emergency department. You've been busy, Anj. Anj holds dual registration as both an advanced skills enrolled nurse and a registered nurse. First EN on the podcast, I believe, to my knowledge. So excited about this. Anj has worked for recruitment agencies and participated on recruitment panels for advanced skills, enrolled nursing roles, to name but a few. In early 2022, Anj found herself a little bit lost and misaligned in her career, feeling a bit stuck, and actually joined our Clinical Career Accelerator program and worked with moi. Now, Anj works actually with us, supporting, mentoring, and coaching our nursing clients through their exciting career changes. Anj's job within LCC coaching is to use our skills, attention for detail, and coaching to empower and to help you succeed no matter what. That's a good bio. I love it. So, Anj, tell us. Let's start at the very beginning. Tell us about your experiences as a graduate and coming into the world as an EN. Tell us about that.
So, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you, Liam. I actually started my nursing career straight after uni doing my registered nursing, but never completed it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So back in Melbourne, back in those days, if you had 2 years of your registered nursing, you could sit an exam and do an assignment and become an EN. That's what I did.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah. So I didn't do a grad program. Did agency though through, I don't think they're around anymore. And I did ED work at Sunshine and Footscray hospitals.
Amazing. So you finished, got your ENs, and then you went straight into agency working.
Yes.
So many people at the moment would be like, what? Is that even possible? Tell us about that. What was that like?
It was scary. It was scary. The agency I joined, though, worked with me. They knew I was a brand new out nurse, and they were quite supportive. So the agency I joined in Melbourne is the same agency I joined here in Perth when I moved to Perth. And when I got to Perth, it was the same deal. We'll support you every step of the way. If there's any issues at the hospital that you're working at, just give us a call. They were literally up the road. I was mainly at RPH. And if there was any issues, they would come out if I had any issues. So they were really supportive in that regard. But I also found the wards that I would go to that showing up, being honest and saying, hey, I'm a newbie, I may need a bit of help. People were quite accommodating to that. Staff development nurses, the more senior staff were really receptive to that.
Yeah, I love that so much. I can imagine as an EN, that would be super, like EN, RN, AIN, RUSON, whoever you are, that would be super confronting. And it is much harder now based on the work that we do. Like we see people struggling to even get agency work as a student, as a AIN, as a EN and an RN as well. So that would have been super confronting. But what did it give you? Like, what did you learn being an EN, an agency EN, like that early in your career?
Well, it gave me, first of all, I loved the flexibility, pick my shifts.
Yeah.
That was amazing. It taught me patience, really. Not knowing where things were. You just learn to look in all the nooks and crannies. But it really taught me, resilience.
That's amazing. I love that.
And kindness, I suppose, to when we get on the ward that I work on now, like when we get our agency casual staff that haven't worked, just orientating them, even showing them where the staff room is and the bathroom. Simple things like that.
You do have much more empathy and compassion for how hard it is to come into a new workplace every day as an agency nurse and to just slot in. Like, that's a skill set in itself. I think a lot of people think, oh, here's the agency nurse, especially maybe if it was somebody earlier on in their career, right? Because there's a misconception that we don't have skills, we don't have everything that we need. But in fact, like, really, like, you're there, and as an agency nurse, you do just learn to slot in and pick up and run with it. And you get really creative and really, working with all the team to deliver the care. It's a huge challenge, and it can be really confronting for you as a agency worker coming in every day. It's very mentally taxing. Is that what you find, like having to, like, it's like you have to shapeshift every day? You have to be like, do I do this? Do I do that? What's the policy say here? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, so it is challenging. To one, not I think now it's a bit different when you do agency work. You kind of know ahead of time what ward you're going to. But when I did it, it was very much you rock up, you go to the staff allocations, and you get sent wherever. Sometimes you'd rock up to the ward. Sorry, if you're not supposed to be here, and off you go to somewhere else. So that was challenging. And I think not being part of well, you didn't feel like you were part of a team unless you were going to the same regular ward all the time, which in my case, that's how I landed a full-time job at the hospital I work at the moment.
Yeah. Before we dive into that, I'd love to just tap into the fact from a coaching perspective, right? Like, we see it all the time, but there's so much anxiety. There must be so much anxiety. And I know when I was an agency RN, this is what I experienced. When you do go into new areas every day, and you have to get really used to kind of operating from that place, because you just don't know. And you could do an hour of your work on one ward, and then they need to shift you to another ward, and it can be all up in the air all day long. Is that your experience?
Yeah. Just being adaptable, though, I think is one of the qualities that you need to be able to do your agency work or casual work. Even it's the same. You get to go to all the different places.
Yeah. What did you find were some of the challenges as an EN, being an EN, comparing to RN?
Well, comparing EN. So when I came over from EN from Melbourne to here, a scope of practice for ENs in Melbourne was so we med competent and IB competent. Coming over here, ENs over here at the time weren't med competent or IB competent. That was something that they brought out. I think it was 2003, 2004.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
That was one of the challenges. My scope of practice was, I felt, reduced, diminished type thing. I think that was probably the main one.
And just for everybody listening, Anj is in, we won't give you her full address, but she's in WA. So moved from Melbourne to WA many years ago. So you are in Perth, and you started working at a hospital as an agency nurse, and then you got offered a role. Is that right? Talk us through how that came about, because people don't believe that this happens.
It happened. I got offered a role on a medical unit at the time, very heavy medical unit. I think it was at the time, it was 6 patients to 1 nurse.
Wow.
For a morning shift. And it was a ward that I enjoyed working on. I enjoyed the culture. A lot of the nurses I still am in contact with today. And it was one of the first places where I felt where I was taken under people's, or more experienced nurses under their wing type thing. I had amazing mentors. And I learned so much being on that ward clinically, professionally. My time management skills excelled on that ward. They had to.
Non-negotiable.
Literally, it's even as an agency nurse going there, it's a 6-hour shift. So you had to provide your care within only 6 hours for 6 patients.
So hard. So difficult.
Very hard.
I imagine you probably stayed late a few times, to be fair. Like, I know that. Or were you good?
I was pretty good, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm not good with that stuff. I'm usually the one that's
I worked with
really
really amazing nurses, though. It was a fantastic team. A lot of senior staff that would just get in and help.
Yeah. That makes such a difference. And lots of people listening might be thinking, my team doesn't do, like, you know, like a lot of people don't experience the seniors coming and stepping in and helping out. And I think people undervalue how much that is so important, not just from a helping perspective, like culture, teamwork, and then how people experience the workplace. Clearly, it was something that you remember and something that really had a positive impact on you.
Yeah, to the point when they offered the job, it was like, okay, I wanted set days. I got offered set days.
Yeah.
And morning shift only, which was negotiable.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. So fast forward to your RNs. You did your EN to RN conversion.
I did.
Talk us through what that was like.
It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I worked full-time nights. I've got 2 kids. And I did some semesters I would do full-time uni, other semesters, depending on what the workload for the unit, it would be dependent on whether or not I did full-time semester.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot. So placement, juggling mum life,
yes,
family life.
I think juggling everything. Yeah, I think for 18 months or 2 years, I did not have a holiday. All my annual leave was used for placements.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges, right? That is, yeah, people have to give up their annual leave. It's insane.
I used my long service leave.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. That's good effort. That's commitment, folks, right there. Commitment. So talk us through, like, what did you find most challenging in the transition from EN to RN? Was there anything in particular for anybody listening that's thinking of doing it, that's sitting on the fence? Like, would you recommend it? Was there anything super challenging?
I think for me, I always thought, as an EN, at the hospital that I work at, you get put into a lot of team leader roles. For me, it was, I'm already doing the work.
Yeah.
Why not be recognized for it in a monetary value, but also in a, I can move forward if I want to, kind of, I can move into a clinical nurse role. I could, you know, eventually apply for a nurse unit manager role if I wanted to. That for me that was my driving force.
Yeah.
That was, I was kind of stuck in my career. I couldn't really move forward. And that was really what prompted me to finish it, or to go back and do it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I often see this, or saw this when I was in the system, that ENs like are so highly skilled and they were amazing clinicians, but there's a ceiling. And, you know, then it just stops, right? And you can't move forward. You need to go and get this bit of paper. It's probably the only time that I'm like, get the qualification. You need it to move forward.
Yeah.
If you want to build your career, if you're very content where you are and you're happy with your scope, run with it. The RN's not really going to add a great deal to that. Would that be fair? Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. So I did my EN, and I was fortunate enough to secure a position as an RN on the ward that I've worked on. So my actual career hasn't changed, like my role hasn't changed. Just that little designation when I started.
Yeah.
Mind you, it took me ages to get used to.
I bet it did. And not only that, a change of color or uniform, maybe? Do you have different colors? Same?
ENs have got the same. There's no even, they've still got the white band. It's just, instead of saying registered nurse across here, it says advanced skills enrolled nurse.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you got your RN position, a lot of people don't believe this happens either. So a lot of people think once you've done your ENs and you do your RNs, you've got to then do a graduate year. What do you say to that?
No, you don't.
We love to break the rules here.
I didn't want to do a graduate position. I felt not that you don't ever stop learning in nursing. I just felt the grad program was not for me.
Yeah.
I am still happy on the ward that I work on. And I just didn't feel the need to do emergency. Emergency nursing is not for me. I did it in Melbourne. It's not for me. I was told maybe ICU again. I don't think that's for me. So I was quite happy to stay where I'm at.
And what did that look like for people listening? Because people often message me and say, hey, Liam, like I'm a mature age student. I've come in, I've done my ENs, and then I just don't want to do an RN grad program. How did that come about for you?
It was literally just waiting for the RN position pool to open up.
Mm.
And I applied with a cover letter, selection criteria that I addressed. And I actually put in my cover letter that I wanted to stay on the ward that I was working on.
Amazing. Super easy. And it just happened.
And it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just transition EN to RN. And this
And,
is what happens most of the time, right? People, I think, make it very complicated because we're told through the system, through the uni, through the TAFE, you've got to do this, there's a process, you must follow it. But we do like to break the rules here.
Funny that you say that, because a lot of my lecturers used to say that
Yeah.
you need to do a graduate program, even to me. And I was like, I don't want to do a graduate program.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah, and it's not required. It's totally not required. So I love that you did that, and I love that this is where you've ended up, because this is what we talk about every day now in our coaching practice for sure. So fast forward and tell me a little bit more about feeling a little bit stuck and coming to the CCP, and talk to me about that maybe just the awareness around like feeling stuck and what was happening for you.
So I've on the back of a shoulder injury. I felt stuck. I didn't know what I thought. Numb, CN. I'd already had an acting CN position. I think it was 3 months after I graduated. I secured a acting CN position on the ward, and I wasn't sure what direction. So I saw your little thing pop up on my email. I'm like, yes, that's me. I feel stuck. And when I say I feel stuck, it wasn't that because I'm unhappy with the culture on the ward or the people that I work with. It was just something internally. I just didn't know what direction to go in. Now I've invested this money, invested time doing my registered nursing. What's it for? Basically, why? And that's what prompted me to book that call with Liam. And I did, and I joined the CCAP, and it was the best thing I've ever done. Found out my career why, found out, we talk about like my shoulder injury could be perceived as and yes, it's a pain, but it's also been a positive. I've been an extra person or an extra set of hands on the ward. And it's really shown me what I'm passionate about, which is teaching and mentoring undergrads, grads, junior nurses. I absolutely love it and excel in it. Well, I think I hope that people that work with.
Of course, this is a performance review live on air. No, I'm joking. No, I love that so much, and it was such fun working with you in the CCAP. And what really was great was that I could see each week like the implementation of the self-coaching. A big part of our programs for everybody listening is learning how to self-coach. And Anj really took this under her wing and ran with it, and could see how it could apply to all aspects of your life, right? Not just your career. And I think people think that they're coming into the CCAP or the GCLP or our application support program, and they just think, oh, it's all about career. But we want to get to know who you are and what you want and what you need. And that's what we lead with. And then we make the career stuff work around that. So when you came in, that was a big component of it, was self-coaching. Tell us a little bit about your experience with coaching. Was it something you were new to, and what did you think about it?
It's not something that I've new to. I've always been aware of coaching, but it was something that I've perhaps been a little bit resistive to. For me, the coaching aspect, career-wise, was fantastic, but applying it into my everyday life. So applying, my shoulder's just a circumstance. It's how I make it feel. My thought behind it is what's driving my feelings. So just switching all of that mindset around, I apply it to the kids. And it just changed my perspective. Like, I stopped being grumpy at home, because I was very short. Like, obviously feeling stuck has got a snowball effect. It without you even noticing it, you start becoming, it filters into your everyday life, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And then once I started it, and I think I started with one module, and I didn't want to put it down. I think I did a whole heap. one after the other.
Yeah.
And I could just see the benefit,
Yeah.
relevant to career, but to everyday life, which for me was amazing and still is transformational. It's been an amazing journey since I did the CCAP.
Yeah, it's amazing. Hey, and obviously I'm biased, but I think that it is the missing piece in the system. I think having gone through a very similar process to you and to people listening, the missing piece is the self-awareness piece about like, what is it that you really want in your career, in your life? And many people don't stop and even ask that of themselves. We just are on the rat race, we're on that hamster wheel, and we just keep turning and turning, and we just end up having all these symptoms in our life, right? Where we're just misaligned. Like for me, it was, my hair was falling out. Like I was super stressed. I was overweight, had gut issues. My skin wasn't like all of the things I was self-neglecting, right? So anybody that's listening, that's hearing any of those things or can resonate with what myself and Anj are talking about, know that you might potentially be misaligned in your career. And it's a good place to just stop and check in, even just come and have a chat to us, and we can explore what that looks like for you, because it is just so important. We only live once. Like we're here for a good time, and work is just a small part of it. Even though we talk about it a lot on the podcast and on socials, it's really about you and improving your life and being an example of what's possible for you in your life, right? So like, let's fast forward to now where, when you joined the CCAP, I'm sure you probably never thought, oh, I'm going to be working online and helping all of these amazing graduates across the country land multiple interviews and multiple job offers. So tell us about that and joining Liam Caswell Coaching.
Definitely didn't even think that this was possible, to be honest. I absolutely love doing the work that I'm doing at the moment. I've got a bit of both worlds, so clinical plus I do this at home. But I love the engagement with the GCLP clients or any of the clients really, and the growth and the mindset that they develop as well. And it's just an amazing thing to see people grow within their journey.
It's so good, isn't it? And just having an impact through a camera on your computer, sitting at home as a nurse. And obviously, Anj makes an income from this. It's not voluntary work. So to be able to make money, right, from home, like who would have thought when I started nursing 11 years ago in the UK, I would never have ever thought that this was what my life would be. But it's totally possible. And it's so exciting to have you on board with this. What would you say are some of your highlights so far based on like the clients that we've been working with?
Highlights. I think one of the best highlights is the feedback, the little emails that we get, like, I did this and this and this, or thank you so much for your help. Don't really get that at bedside nursing. We do sometimes, but we usually get the other end of, so that was one of the big highlights. And also learning, how to develop a selection criteria, how to do your cover letters. So I'm doing something that I enjoy doing, but I'm also learning a lot. Being on a podcast.
Yeah. Pushing your boundaries.
Pushing your boundaries, doing all the videos that I send to the different clients. Like I never would have thought in my little head that I could possibly do that. But that comes from like pushing your boundaries, but you can only do that when you've got the correct mindset behind it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's so much risk, right? And I think this is what people forget is like, this is totally new. Like you work in the hospital, you're an amazing clinician, right? You've got all these amazing experiences. But then I'm like, hey, come work for us. Like come and help us support our grads and our application support and our CCAP clients. And it's a totally different world. And it requires you to be willing to fail. And like, and to take huge risk. And it's an amazing testament to like your mindset and the growth and all of the things that you've been doing for yourself. Because when we can lean into it and we can just fail and be like, oh, well, like, and I fail. Like there's things that I do every day that I'm like, oops, today I didn't send something to Anj that I should have sent her much earlier in the day. And it's like, oh, well, and we just learn from it. And I think that's what's really powerful. in the work that we do is that we can like adopt that mindset. Whereas in nursing, sometimes it's like, oh, you failed, like you're in trouble and there's a problem, or like you can't take risks because it is too risky with the patients. And we've kind of been conditioned to believe that we can't do those things. So it's super exciting to have you on board and supporting all of our grads. Our grads, like, because most of the work that we've been doing is in the GCLP, and our grads across the country are landing interviews left, right, and center. And Ange has been supporting them through Loom videos. Like you get into the GCLP, you get comprehensive support from both of us from start to finish until you land a job. What do you think are some of the things that people might need to hear to consider coaching with us in any of our programs? Like, what would you tell somebody that's sitting on the fence? It's like, I'm curious, but I don't know. What would you say to them?
I suppose from my perspective, a lot of people think coaching, I think woo-woo kind of stuff. It's not, it's practical. You can apply it to everyday life. Like if you want to apply it just to your career, amazing, but you can bring it across all aspects of your life. Simple, even on the ward, doing education on the ward is something that I would have like really become nervous about. Oh my goodness, I have to do a presentation. Please don't make me do one. Since I joined the CCAP, impromptu education is like, yep, okay, let's talk about this. And I don't even have to make a PowerPoint presentation. It's just like, okay, bit of education, see a need or a deficit. Let's get a group of people together and let's talk about it. Let's see how we can improve.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you can apply it to everyday life, not just your career.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, like we're both proof of that, right? In the sense that I use self-coaching every day. And I think that like as an entrepreneur and building a business, it's impossible to not manage your mind. If you don't manage your mind, you don't have a business, right? You can't, because there's people that say no, there's rejections, there's, applications that don't do as well for some people that we work with. And that just happens. So we've got to have the resilience and the mindset and the ability to self-coach. And I love what you say there about how it applies clinically. Because I can see that as a nurse unit manager, if I knew how to self-coach when I was in that role, like the multiple human rights commission complaints would just be a circumstance in my life. And I was making them mean that I was a bad manager, right? And like I get to reclaim all of that. Definitely not woo-woo. It's just how the world works. And when you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's what a lot of our grads, our application support and CCA people that come in and invest in themselves, they see that for a long time, typically we've been running these stories that just are not serving us anymore. So I'm so glad that that's what you got out of it. It's amazing. I am curious about when we're working together. Obviously, we try and have lots of fun, right? Like we try and have a bit of fun in the coaching calls, and usually in the grads specific coaching calls, there's a bit of mischief happening in there, and everybody's a little bit sassy. What are some of the things that you really enjoy in those calls when we're doing the group coaching with the graduates? Bearing in mind that yesterday we recorded a interview of me being interviewed by 10 graduates, asking me really hard questions, basically to give them the experience, that full experience of the interview process as a panel member. What do you think, is most beneficial for people when they come to coaching like
that? When they come to coaching like that, okay. Beneficial for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not only do you get the coaching, right, from yourself, from me, but you get perspective from the other group members. So it's not just one person coaching or another person. It's everybody putting in their thoughts or their experiences. And it's not so much telling people what to do, but it's asking questions so people can come to the realization of, oh yeah, this is what I want to do.
That's such a good point. I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of people think coaching, is mentoring, and it's not. Mentoring is like, hey, Ange, you want to do this? You should take this path and you should do X, Y, and Z. right? Coaching is about us creating space for you as a human first, nurse second, and we allow you to just explore what's going on in your mind in a really safe space with absolutely no judgment. Because often I think a lot of us think, oh my God, I'm the only person that has these cray thoughts. And 9 times out of 10, no, we're all having them, right? About the same situation. And we want to look at those thoughts and then just see what we're creating in our life based on those thoughts that we're having about a certain situation. So that's such an important point that you made there around the questioning and the coaching, because a lot of people come to coaching and they think that they don't have the answer, right? And you and I both sit there kind of like smirking a little bit because we're like, you do, you've got it.
Know it.
We've just got to find it and kind of excavate it and explore it and allow yourself to just maybe accept that you've had it all along, right? I think a lot of people come to us and think that we have the answer, but no, we help you get the answer, and then we help you determine if that's the right path for you. So I love that so much. We do have lots of fun, and I'm so excited about how we are going to grow and evolve moving forwards. Anybody that's listening, you get access to both of us when you join any of our programs, and we've got so much in store for the future of high performance nursing, LC coaching, and all of the things. And this will not be Angie's only soiree onto the podcast. She'll be coming in the future as she rolls her eyes. So before we wrap up, I'd love you to share your career why. We do a lot of work on this in all of our programs, and we think that it's super important. So tell us your career why, and tell us why it drives you to do what you do today.
My career why, funnily enough, is my family. So I did night shift for even before I had kids, actually, but majority of while I had kids, I did night shift, full-time nights. And I just knew that's not sustainable. So I did my registered nursing while on nights with the vision of hopefully coming off them onto days, which I managed. But that's my career why, is my children and my family. I want to be able to work around them. I want to be able to make all the sporting events and just be there when they need me to. Yeah. Be able to pick them up if they're unwell at school, which happens a lot.
That's amazing.
But that's my main career why, is my kids, my family, my husband.
Yeah. Life by design. Building your career around your life. Like this concept, Ange and I were coaching a couple of people today, and this concept comes up all the time. And it really is like, what do you want your life to look like? And then build your career around it. And here's the funny thing, you've created that for yourself. How amazing is that? In doing the work that you do and working clinically, you've gifted that to yourself. So love your work there and love the career why. Ange, thank you so much for your time. Very excited about working with you moving forwards. Make sure that you give us some love and approach us on social media, and let us know what you think of this episode and getting to know Ange and what the work that we do here at the High Performance Nursing Liam Caswell Coaching with multiple names. And we will see you in the next episode. Ange, thank you so much for your time. Stay safe and stay forever curious, everybody. See you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching the High Performance Nursing podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for all future video notifications. If you want to dive deeper into this work, please come and join us in the High Performance Nursing membership. All the links are in the comments below. We would love to see you there and help you thrive within your nursing life, career, and mindset. Let's do this.